Good morning. Lane Unjum was a farmer in North Dakota. He had a 1,000-acre farm, and this last September he was starting to harvest all of his wheat. He was out starting to drive his combine and was getting going with it when suddenly he realized it was on fire. It was such a shock. It took him a few minutes to kind of process what is actually happening here. What should he do? But before he knew it, it happened so quickly, this whole thing was up in flames. It was ablaze, and it was a huge fire. The flames and the smoke could be seen for miles around. Other neighbors saw something bad was happening and began to rush to his house. When they got there, they started helping to put out the fire there on his combine, but also the fields had caught on fire, and they managed to put out the fire on all the fields. But Lane had inhaled so much smoke, and he had so much stress, obviously, from this. He had previously had several heart trouble for several years, and then he went into a heart attack. They called for an ambulance. The ambulance came, and they rushed him to the hospital. There in the emergency room, he flatlined 3 times. They finally managed to get him stable. His wife went to be with him in the hospital. Lane was 57 years old. He'd grown up on this farm and had been in the family for more than 60 years. And now here he was fighting for his life, but also for the farm. No one to bring in all the different harvest. Word spread around the community. A day was set literally 2 days later. People came from miles and miles around. 60 different farmers bringing their combines, all their semi-trucks, bringing all the hauling equipment. You could feel the ground shake as they went out there and began to tackle these fields, this 1,000 acres, all at the same time. What usually would take Lane more than 2 weeks to harvest took a day. The amazing thing was, everybody had to stop their own harvest to come in to help Lane. But they did it. And so many people in the community brought food and drink and things for all the farmers who were working so hard and bringing in the harvest. And then other people who couldn't help bring in the harvest, well, they started bringing the food and packing the freezer and doing all the things that needed to be done to help them with their farm while Lane and his wife were there in the hospital. He had to fight a good fight, but he made it. And he was able to celebrate this past Christmas with his family at home, with his health coming back and with the harvest having been brought in because so many people saw a neighbor in need and they chose to care. And when all that was going on, no one was looking at Lane or at any of the people who offered to bring help and asking one another, who'd you vote for in the last election? What do you believe about abortion? What do you believe about gay marriage? Do you go to the Methodist church or Baptist church or Catholic church? No, everybody saw neighbors wanting to pitch in to help someone else who was in need. I couldn't help but think about Jesus saying, a new commandment I give you, that you love one another as I have loved you. Jesus said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat others that you hope one day that they would treat you that way. This year you and I are so committed to living a life where we are going to love our neighbor, no exception. We're living in a challenging time with pandemics, with political turmoil, with economic struggles. More than ever before, right now in our time, what we need is a word of hope and a gift of love. And you and I are going to let God use us to help bring that in our community. I want to remind you that, last year we created these calendars, Love Your Neighbor, No Exception. I'm using mine, and I've already started using it again for this year. It's a flip calendar. If you didn't get one last year, you can come by either campus, north or downtown, and you can pick one up. Or if you can't get out, just call us and we'll make sure you have one. And then every evening, Reverend Wendy Lambert is going to be looking at the saying for that day and talking about what does that mean and how do we do that in our lives. Remember, every morning at 6 o'clock, we send out an email, or you can go onto Facebook or our website, and there we have a daily devotional. Reverend Keith King does such an amazing job with overseeing all of these, and all of our staff write them. And I just got to tell you, they are great. And every morning about 8 o'clock, you can catch Coffee with Bob. All I'm saying is you and I are starting a new year right now. Get into the habits. Get into the discipline and the habits as you start this year doing the things that work for you, that help you remember that spirit that Jesus told us, a new commandment I give you, to love one another as I have loved you. We are going to be the people who make a difference in our community this year. We're going to love our neighbor, no exception. I hope you go out and make it a great day.